Hey there. Time for number 13 on the River Gran among the Quadi. Nothing is more pathetic than people who run around in circles, delving into the things that lie beneath, and conducting investigations into the souls of people around them, never realizing that all you have to do is to be more attentive to the power inside you and worship it sincerely. To worship it is to keep it from being muddied with turmoil and becoming aimless and dissatisfied with nature, divine and human. What is divine deserves our respect because it is good. What is human deserves our affection because it is like us. And our pity too, sometimes, for its inability to tell good from bad, as terrible a blindness as the kind we can't tell white from black. Sorry, I might have read that a little poorly there, but yeah, let's get into this one. I think overall, he says, a therapist, I I really love delving into these things with other people, but I think he's not getting at that. I think he's getting at people who aren't. But I do it. I'm a counselor because I find people so curious. That's one of my favorite things I love about it. Um, and I know that to my core, and so it's a part of who I am. But I think what he's getting at this is like nothing is more pathetic than people who run around in circles, delving into the things that lie beneath, and conducting investigations into the souls of people around them, never realizing that all you have to do is to be more attentive to the power inside you and worship it sincerely. I think what he's getting at here is people, unlike a unlike myself here, like I'm that power in me or the things that drive my curiosity and interest. Rather than that, these people that he's referencing are asking, I think, other people for some of either maybe it's advice or their thoughts or what they're considering or their beliefs about situations, behaviors, people, you name it. But they're not really looking at themselves for why they're asking those questions, perhaps. I get the sense that these people are just kind of flittering, like flittering on the edges of deep topics, but they're never truly willing to go there themselves, either whether they're meditating or in deep reflective thought. Um, I'm trying to think of an example that comes to mind here. Kind of just off the top of my head, kind of just like almost like a jack of all trades type of individual. I don't even know if that person really exists, but and I know the full acronym or saying is it's better to be a jack of all trades than a master of one. But I think it's that he's getting at people who perhaps they'll be at a party and maybe they'll talk about what's in the news, uh, and the ethical quandaries that come up, questions of morality, you know, right and wrong, things like this, and they'll have their point, but it might not go that deep, and they haven't reflected that deeply on their own opinion on the matter and why it's important to them in the first place. That's just kind of where my mind is going with that. And what he's saying is that instead of always, I think, seeking these things out from other people, it's better to form your own opinion and then go out into the world with your own opinion and stand by it, and your own justification for why you believe these things. I think that's what he's getting at here, but correct me if I'm wrong if you think there's something different. To worship it is to keep it from being muddied with turmoil and becoming aimless and dissatisfied with nature, divine and human. So he's saying, like, to worship the power within yourself. And as we've seen in separate passages, like, I think he's using power here as, like, as he's said in past ones, like nature, your interests and desires. So to worship it and to really, like, what he means by that though is just to focus on it intently and clearly and understand it, understand yourself and who you are, which keeps it from being muddied with turmoil and becoming aimless and dissatisfied with nature, divine and human. So if you have your own opinion on things and your own justifications that are aligned with your values and how you see the world and approach it and who you want to be, when you then hear Joe Blow down the street have a different opinion, your opinion it might be altered by it, because it's always important to keep an open mind for most things, but at least you won't then just adopt Joe's opinion and just be like a game of pong, like ping pong off, because the news is so rampant. And I'll use the news because it's a modern day example, I think, of this, but there's always the newest thing to be anxious over, fearful of, angry about, happy about too, but often it focuses on negative emotions. And if you're always living it up to other people to form your opinion, then you are going to find yourself in a situation or several situations where your emotions, your beliefs about a subject or point of happening in the world, it's going to always be changing. And he's saying here that if it's always changing, then you risk becoming aimless and dissatisfied with nature, divine and human. So dissatisfied with yourself and with kind of the broader world around you, the broader intention for your life. And I personally, I agree with a lot of the things he says. There's always a little bit of what would be the word, not wholeheartedly. There's certainly exceptions on the fringes, and I'll always agree to that. But someone who doesn't have their own opinion is bound to eventually be quite dissatisfied as their life progresses on. And in past passages he mentioned, or maybe I did, gave examples just of people who perhaps are people pleasers and always doing things for other people but never for themselves, and then wake up after 20 years in a marriage and are very dissatisfied with that and have this often a regret of, why did I knew before we even got married that this was the wrong choice, looking back. Things like that. And you'll be dissatisfied with yourself, other people, fate. What is divine deserves our respect because it is good. What is human deserves our affection because it is like us. So again, divine here is nature, God, fate, destiny, all those things. And as we've looked at in past passages, nothing is neither good nor bad. But it sounds like here he's saying that, like, what's divine is good. And he's not saying good in the sense that whatever happened to you is good or bad, but the fact that it happened to you and the changes it will instill upon you are good. And again, though, the caveat that it might take a lot of time to realize that good, but change is good. The path is good. And sometimes with phrases like that, you do have to be a bit accepting of, I don't know if you'd call it your mentality of the world or a viewpoint. But there's a bit of faith that comes with it that, is life good as a whole? Is it good to be alive? That's what he's getting at here. And so it deserves respect. Like the path itself and the challenges along that path is what he's getting at, and deserves our respect. And then what is human deserves our affection because it is like us. So here, though, it's getting into the, all the ways we can disturb ourselves in the situations that contribute to us being disturbed. Excuse me. We should love those parts of us, even if we hate them at times, because a part of me that might be sad over something terrible happening, not to hate it or to shame it, but to love that part of me, or that part of you that is experiencing that, and it's experiencing that aspect of life. I think that's where he's going with it, and our pity too, sometimes, for its inability to tell good from bad, as terrible a blindness as the kind that can't tell white from black. So not only our humanity should have affection, but also pity for its inability to tell good from bad. And he's saying that's as bad as being colorblind or fully blind. And he's not tearing up blind people here, it's metaphor. Because humans can definitely do that. Yeah, for sure. My mind's going to acts of commission and acts of omission. And, whether or not something's happening and then do nothing about it, or you acknowledge the consequences, and more so bad consequences, and do it anyway. And again, we've spoken about sometimes you do have to make choices like that. But what he's getting at here isn't necessarily making a bad choice or a bad or evil decision for the sake of being evil. More so that sometimes people can't tell that difference. And it happens to everybody from all walks of life, for all matters of subjects, of decisions. And there's this one quote, I forget who it is from, but it's something along that's like, God gave me the grace to recognize good from bad, I'm not even going to try to keep going with that one. But rather than being angry at ourselves for being blind to some of these things sometimes, rather have, move towards pity and affection towards the basic humanity that makes up all of us. And but hopefully, though, we're over time, you learn to tell good from bad over time, certainly. And would be even worse, though, is someone who knows they're doing bad and continues to do so. I think that's where we'll end that one off. Again, throw some thoughts and comments down in the comments. Love to chat to you.